杭州啊千人相亲大会仅无一男性参加。
Recently, an awkward event took place in Hangzhou. I'm sure everyone has heard about it by now. At a grand matchmaking event with over 1,000 people, not a single man showed up. The organizers of the event also implemented a relatively unfair policy. Women could participate for free, while men had to pay double the fee. As a result, more than 500 women, adhering to the principle of better to be single than settle, still made high demands on men, refreshing everyone's perception. Nowadays, fully paying for a house and car has become the minimum standard for matchmaking, but what's surprising is that thousands of older single women have ended up being completely ignored. What exactly has caused this situation? Why are more and more men choosing to remain single rather than get married? Let's take a look at the fascinating story of Hangzhou's matchmaking event with no male participants. Watching this matchmaking event makes us truly understand what is meant by silent resistance. This event in Hangzhou, which was supposed to be eagerly anticipated by both men and women, unexpectedly turned into a modern version of a women's kingdom. On the day of the event, more than 500 women waited expectantly, but not a single man came, making the scene incredibly awkward. Does this mean that when it comes to matchmaking, men have completely given up and are indifferent to marriage? In fact, today's standards for choosing a partner have quietly changed. Many older single women still refuse to face reality, instead clinging to outdated mindsets, fixated on pursuing high standards for men. At the same time, the conflict between women's rights and financial power has also become a hot issue in today's society. Some men who had considered attending the event revealed that the fees for men were much higher than for women, set at 800 yuan and 1,000 yuan, while women could attend for free. Considering how hard it is to earn money these days, many men felt that the organizers' approach was quite off-putting. Reality has already proven that the prime time for these older single women has long passed, and they are no longer in demand. Young men without financial means simply cannot afford the high costs of matchmaking, while those with decent financial conditions have no need to attend such events, and certainly don't want to face women with overly arrogant attitudes and excessively harsh requirements. At this point, many women are still clinging to the fantasy of finding a tall, rich and handsome man, only willing to choose men from wealthy families, while they won't even glance at men of more ordinary means. This vicious cycle has led to the awkward situation at the Hangzhou matchmaking event. Over 500 women were present, but not a single man was willing to participate. Just imagine how awkward that scene must have been. The mindset of modern young people toward marriage has indeed undergone significant changes. Many men have faced repeated setbacks in the pursuit of love and marriage, feeling crushed under the weight of exorbitant bride prices. Some women have even made overly demanding requests, such as requiring the man to fully purchase a house and a car. Under this kind of pressure, many men have chosen to lie flat and no longer actively seek marriage partners. Even those men with good family backgrounds are now cautious about marriage, and some even demand that women undergo premarital health checks to avoid losing large sums of money, along with the house and car. Nowadays, the entire matchmaking market has undergone dramatic changes. Men are no longer willing to be suckers, and the deserted atmosphere at offline matchmaking events is a true reflection of this phenomenon. What do you think about the awkward scene of this 1,000-person offline matchmaking event where no one showed up?
A
few days ago, our matchmaking company organized a dating event in the city center, specifically tailored for bachelors, masters, and PhD holders. This event attracted hundreds of participants, including many single young professionals from well-known companies. Overall, the event was quite successful, with a lively atmosphere on site, and several young couples successfully paired up. It can be said that this was a relatively successful event. However, I was a bit puzzled because, despite the large number of people who signed up, especially male participants, the gender ratio on the day seemed a bit unbalanced. In particular, in sessions with more females, many of the men who had originally registered did not show up. To figure out why these men gave up such a rare opportunity, I followed up with those who were absent. The reasons they gave were varied. Some said they had other arrangements that day and simply couldn't make it. Some said they would rather stay home and play video games than attend such a dating event. Even more shocking were those who bluntly admitted that they hadn't actually wanted to attend. It was their parents who signed them up, and they were not interested at all. I was left wondering, with such a great opportunity to find a partner right in front of them, why didn't these single men seize it? Actually, I also want to take this opportunity to appeal to all the single people out there. In the future, Our company will continue to hold similar high-quality matchmaking events, so don't miss out. Of course, gentlemen, there's no need to feel too much pressure. Even if you don't find the right person in one event, it's no big deal. Just treat it as a chance to make new friends. After all, getting to know more female friends can only be beneficial. If you have a scheduling conflict or are too shy to participate in such in-person events, you can always contact me directly, and we can arrange one-on-one meetings with women for you. Don't be shy. Who knows, the opportunity to find a partner might be just around the corner.
I
really feel a bit helpless. Yesterday, a friend of mine invited me to attend a singles event that he organized. They had invited many people in advance, but in the end, very few men showed up, and most of the participants were older single women with decent jobs. My friend has been in this field for many years and always wants me to participate in his events because they organize similar events every year, whether high-end or low-end, often in cooperation with guilds or companies. But unfortunately, the success rate has never been high. I went to check out the scene. As soon as I arrived, I saw a group of women. They all had a good demeanor, mostly older single women, but there were hardly any men. The few men who did show up were mostly those repeatedly invited by phone. After taking a look, I felt the quality of the event was indeed not high, so I left. As I was leaving, I happened to see two men leaving as well, and I asked them why they were leaving so quickly. I asked them, "There are so many girls here, don't any of them catch your eye?" One of the men replied that they came with a mindset of just giving it a try. For this kind of low-end event, everyone is just going through the motions, knowing the success rate is not high. I continued chatting with them and told them that many of the women on site were actually quite good, with good family backgrounds and jobs. I asked why they were still unwilling to choose these women. They candidly admitted that it's not that older women are unacceptable. Women with the right values are still worth considering. But they felt that age is not the biggest obstacle. The key is that many men think about future family planning, especially the issue of having children. If a woman is already 34 or 35 years old and still wants to have 2 children, there might be fertility challenges. The main issue is that these older women often have very high expectations of men, from housing, cars, education, height, to family upbringing. These requirements are quite high, and many men don't have enough advantages to meet these conditions. So they hesitate and don't want to choose these older single women who, despite their good conditions, come with such high demands. One of the men also said that many women over 30 are very experienced and capable at work. But because of that, their expectations for men have also increased significantly. They want men not only to have high incomes but also to match them in every aspect. For example, if a woman earns 200,000 or 300,000 yuan a year, she might expect the man to earn at least double that. On top of that, men also need to provide more in terms of material and emotional support. So, men like us really feel we can't afford to marry such women. We feel that the emotional balance in the relationship would be very weak. As a result, they would rather choose someone younger, with lower expectations. Even though a younger woman may not be as capable, she tends to have a gentler personality and isn't as demanding financially. This explains very well why, at offline matchmaking events like this, many men leave after just a glance. It's not that they are picky about the women's age, but rather the additional conditions and expectations these older single women come with that make them feel overwhelmed. Therefore, even if men show up, they quickly leave. This is the reality.
男生一定不要去相亲。
Many older single men need to understand that blind dates are not necessarily the best way to find a partner. A lot of people might think, I can't find someone so I'll just go on blind dates. But the reality isn't that simple. Nowadays, almost all women have certain material requirements in blind dates, like having a car, a house, or even being able to make them happy. This isn't the era where people meet and immediately decide to get married anymore. The process of blind dating has become more complex now. At its core, blind dating is just a way to meet people. It doesn't directly guarantee you'll walk into marriage. Most women nowadays want men who not only meet certain material conditions, but can also provide emotional support. So, blind dates are not a suitable solution for all men. Why do some people succeed as soon as they go on a blind date? This often has a direct connection to their personal qualities and attractiveness. These people not only have material advantages but also emotional appeal. Therefore, instead of putting all your hope on blind dates, you should spend more time interacting with more women and finding the one who truly suits you. You need to keep working hard, especially in terms of emotional investment, and even learn how others are pursuing women. Observe how those with experience interact with women, then try to imitate their techniques and continually adjust your approach. Don't feel embarrassed about it. Seeking advice from those with experience can actually help you improve faster. In short, if you don't have the ability to make a girl happy, relying solely on blind dates is far from enough. Blind dating is just one channel, but whether you succeed depends on how you improve yourself, showcase your strengths, and win the heart of the other person emotionally.
我是非常不推荐男人去相信的。
I strongly advise men not to participate in blind dates. The women you meet during blind dates often have a strong transactional mindset. They will weigh the pros and cons because these women see themselves as sellers in the emotional market. Many of these older single women fail to recognize their own position. Since they have already entered the matchmaking market, it indicates that their options are limited. Think about it. Top talent usually doesn't go to a job market, right? Similarly, the women who enter the blind date market are generally of lower quality, yet they still think of themselves as premium sellers. When you engage with such women, it's not just about showing off your conditions to successfully match. These older single women often have a lofty attitude, and many times you have to first demonstrate your willingness to invest, even by putting in a lot of effort and resources. Many men don't understand this point. We are all here for a blind date, so why should I spend so much energy pursuing a woman? This stems from these women's mindset. A blind date is not about directly discussing cooperation or making a transaction. You need to invest first, just like paying a deposit to show that you have an intention to buy. Only then will these women pick the most suitable partner from those who have shown interest in buying. On the surface, blind dating seems like a shortcut, because you can directly communicate face-to-face with women, feeling like you're closer to the result. But in reality, this shortcut often backfires. The simpler the channel to meet women, the simpler it is for other men to meet her too, which makes the competition even fiercer. On blind dates, you usually encounter those women who are the hardest to deal with, yet whose conditions aren't that good. Therefore, unless it's absolutely necessary, men should never go on blind dates. Blind dating is a way to avoid competition. What are men avoiding by going on blind dates? First, they are avoiding the opportunity to actively meet women on their own. Second, they are avoiding the process of enhancing their own attractiveness. Lastly, they are avoiding the learning process of communicating with women and the ability to learn how to make women fall in love with them. You find all of this too troublesome, and you want to take a shortcut. You don't want to face competition, nor do you want to improve yourself, so you end up paying the price, dealing with women who are neither high quality nor easy to get, and are even full of tricks and deceptions. This year's 3:15 Evening Gala also exposed the scams on matchmaking platforms. Many of the women shown on these platforms don't even exist, or the women arranged by matchmaking agencies are just employees of the company, professional shills, or actresses. These scams target those men who are lazy, avoid competition, and want to skip steps. This, in fact, reflects the greed of human nature. Do you think you're the only man who thinks this way? There are tens of thousands of men who think the same. So why should good women come to you? This simply doesn't align with the market's supply and demand relationship.
我昨天跟一个40岁的单身美女姐姐吃饭，然后她跟我说，
Yesterday, I had dinner with a 40-year-old single woman. She told me that from now on, she only plans to date guys born in the 1990s. Out of curiosity, I asked her why. She said that after going on many blind dates, she found that men born in the 1970s and 1980s were all very strange. Some men, even at the age of 50, still complain that she's too old. Some men, who are short, ugly, and poor, complain that she's not good-looking enough. There are also men who brag about making millions a year, but take her to eat ramen on dates. She said that all the men she has encountered are strange, and these men also have very high standards for women. On the contrary, she said that the guys she met who were born in the 1990s didn't have so many requirements and didn't mind the age difference. In fact,
There are even a few guys in their 90s who are actively pursuing her. That's why she plans to only date guys born in the 90s from now on. She also mentioned that in today's society, where there are more men than women, any older single man who's left is likely to have some issues. Men are left single mostly because they are passive, while we women are single because we actively choose to be. As a woman myself, I really wanted to advise her, but in the end, I stayed silent. Do you know why? I had nothing to say because I knew she was right. I couldn't argue with her logic. What do you think? Is she right?
Today, I want to say something that might upset millions of women, but I'm saying it for their own good. Many people are discussing the issue of older leftover men and women, and people are asking, in the end, who has it worse, older leftover men or older leftover women? Many believe that leftover men have it worse. Their logic is that since women are economically independent, they will fare better in their later years than men, who are less economically capable and thus less independent, leading to a worse situation for them compared to women. From a psychological perspective, some people argue like this. It's like a football match. If the score is 2-0, and the women fight back to make it 2-1, and eventually tie at 2-2, even though the score is tied, the side that caught up has a psychological advantage and a better mindset. Therefore, they say that older leftover women will have a better life in the second half of their lives. I think this kind of reasoning is really ridiculous. I sincerely advise everyone to stop consuming so much chicken soup for the soul. The so-called chicken soup for the soul is just a tool to numb your thoughts, giving you a false sense of hope, making you temporarily forget the harsh realities of life, just like boiling a frog in warm water. Those who truly understand the truth about life won't tell you the truth, but will just keep feeding you chicken soup. This is also the trick that bosses use in the workplace, right? In reality, older leftover men might be in a much better position than older leftover women in the future. And this difference is not just a little better, but significantly better. I say these harsh words not to strike down older leftover women, but to help them face reality, break free from the anesthesia of chicken soup for the soul, and truly love life. Only by doing so can you find the real remedy. And although good medicine tastes bitter, it's for your own good. Why do I say older leftover men are 1,000 times better off than older leftover women? It's because of human nature. Going back to ancient times, the emperor had his harem, and for him, his concubines were like his ears, eyes, nose, arms, and legs. They were just a part of his life. But for those concubines, the emperor was their everything. This is the nature of humanity. Some people might say, this is modern society, civilization has progressed. But even in modern times, when entering middle or old age, if a partner leaves, women often feel like the sky has fallen, while men, although they may feel sad and heartbroken, will quickly adjust, wipe away their tears and snot, and move on with their lives. This happens quite often, right? This is not an exaggeration, but a common phenomenon. Why is this the case? It's because for men, family is just a part of their lives, not their whole life. Once they figure this out and don't lose the bigger picture for small losses, their lives can continue to be exciting. But for women, no matter how independent or strong they are, family is still their everything. That's the difference. So I hope older leftover women can realize this and understand where the problem lies so they can have the courage to live a better life and truly love life. Otherwise, every day you post on social media, flaunting your independence and strength, pairing it with chicken soup, roses, and red wine, trying to prove you don't need love or men. These are just ways to numb yourself. I hope you can all find happiness, all right? Do you agree with my viewpoint? Feel free to leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we will continue to bring you better content. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.